Welcome to the Holistic Wealth and Health Podcast. Your co-hosts, Jason Smith and Bryan Bibbo, will inspire and teach you how to prosper in your mind, body, and spirit, not just your financial life. Joining forces with field experts, Jason and Bryan are here to help you focus on what matters most in your life, living well.
Welcome back to the Holistic Wealth and Health Podcast. This is the second part of my conversation with Fred Taylor, former NFL player and thoughtful voice on what it means to live a meaningful, well-rounded life. This half of our talk dives deep into real-world topics like financial education, parenting with intention, and the impact of mental health, and the importance of living in the moment. Fred opens up about his own experiences, offering insights into building routine, managing stress, and showing up with kindness and purpose. We hope you enjoy.
Yeah, that's the thing is they don't teach finance in school. I don't understand with what we have in this world that it's not taught. I remember in the fifth grade, I had a teacher that would make us balance a checkbook. She was our social studies teacher. Mm-hmm. She'd make us balance a checkbook, and we'd have to buy stuff. And I don't know why they don't teach that. I mean, in home economics in high school, we used to have to carry these babies, these actual babies with the styrofoam heads, and make sure they were good. But they're not teaching you how to balance a budget. They're not teaching you how to take care of money. It's almost like the system is set up to make sure that we don't succeed.
Right. And, I kind of go back when I speak to schools and different teams, academic directors of what have you. What I try and do is ask them that they have all this other criteria that you have to meet. Why not? Because majority of the student athletes, there are a certain percentage of them that are going to go pro. Even now with NIL, they have to understand how to manage the dollars that they're receiving.
Right.
It should be mandatory these kids take some sort of basic entry-level finance course. Mm-hmm. That should be part of curriculum. And maybe even the summer months when they first come to school, this should be mandatory. Because you don't want to set anyone up for failure. Because if they don't understand how to manage finances now, they'll never really understand it later.
Right. So you shared about a little story about University of Florida getting a little bit of trouble. And I want to go back to a little bit of that entrepreneur spirit. So I'm not going to go into yours. I'm going to share mine. And I'm almost afraid to share this. But my first year of college, I was studying business. And that semester, I'm out of the house. Mm-hmm. Having a good time, enjoying it, staying up late. I had a 7:30 class in the morning. It was just general business. And there was 900 kids in it, two different sessions. But I got a 1.8 GPA that first semester in school.
Wow.
And the only reason I pulled off that 1.8 is out of 900 kids, I came in first place in the stock market simulation. So he had us run a stock market simulation. I came in first place, right? And I'm walking out. I didn't attend class that day. I had a buddy. He comes to me. He goes, "Where were you this morning?" I was like, man, I'm sleeping. What do you think I was doing, right? And he goes, "They announced your name in front of the whole class, and you were the first place of the stock market simulation." Wow. I would have got an F in that class. I got a D+ because of that.
But it's passing.
Yeah,
it's not great.
The entrepreneur spirit kicked in with me too, because I go, okay, I'm an embarrassment. I'm an embarrassment to my family right now. What am I doing with my life? I went for an accounting degree. I had a counselor look at me and she goes, "You got to average a 3.0 to graduate with an accounting degree out of this college. You're never going to do it." Mm-hmm. I looked her in the eyes. I said, "Okay. What do you think I did?" I put it all on the line. Yeah. I stopped doing what I was doing. I matured at a very, younger age. I mean, I got all the bad stuff out of me in high school, a little bit in college, but halfway through college, I didn't do anything. No parties, no nothing.
Right.
I had already got out of my system. Mm-hmm. I need to focus on my future, and that's what mattered. But it's that I didn't like to lose. I felt like I was losing, right? As an entrepreneur, it's just, But I want to go to the kids, right? Another thing they don't teach in school is how to raise your children. Right? Yes. That's something they don't teach. Like with finance, they're not teaching us, but they're not teaching us how to raise children. You got 5 children yourself. I
have 6.
6. Okay, 6.
Yep.
I got 2 myself. Share with me, what's that journey been like raising the kids, and they're different from each other?
Yeah. It's a journey for sure, but it's a blessing.
Yeah.
You know, it's such an amazing blessing to be able to, just teach and mold these kids, but also, allow them to develop into people they want, the person they want to be, and being able to sit back and just observe, right, and trust God even more. I think that's when my relationship got closer to God, because as the kids go from not being able to crawl to being able to crawl and being able to get into anything and pick up anything and choke on anything, you pray for them and you ask God to guide their steps and, keep them, protect them, and keep them safe. And I've found myself doing that the last 30 years from my son Kelvin, who I actually had at a young age. KT went to University of Florida. He's 30 now. And my daughter Natasha, who's a software engineer, she's 27. And I have 4 boys from my marriage. 22, he's a film writer, screenwriter. I have a 19-year-old at the University of Florida now, who's also looking to be a software engineer. And then I have a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old. So I have 5 boys and a daughter. But again, just allowing them to kind of find their path. I feel like as a parent, what we should want to do is not pick their journey for them, but introduce them, expose them to different ideas in different areas and see what they fall in love with, see what their passion becomes. Because our purpose for them isn't going to be their purpose. Mm-hmm. They have to live through that. They have to, as Jay Shetty said, we had him on our show recently, they have to collect the experiences. And he goes on further to say what passion is versus what purpose is, which is passion is something you like, purpose is something you give. And as long as my kids understand that, I feel that I've done a good job as a parent. And thankfully for me, I have a really good group of kids that they're respectful, they're not entitled, they act spoiled every now and then. But
you gotta put them in line sometimes.
Yes, you have
You're
to.
still the father.
Correct.
Yeah.
But the good thing is they don't have this outrageous sense of entitlement, thinking this is who my father is, I should have this, or I should be able to do this. Because as you look at society and social media, a lot of kids, they can't avoid that. They feel that they are supposed to be this because they have X amount of followers or they're making X amount of money at this age, and they lose this sense of respect and common courtesy and decency. And I think the world can use more of, respectful young adults and decent people with heart for the next human. I think my wife, she's been a pillar. I've learned a lot from her. She was the one that helped me get out of the party mode. Yeah. As well as I was as a player and athlete, I think some of those early injuries in my life happened because I didn't allow my body an opportunity to rest. Because I would go home and I would go out and hang out and have a couple drinks with the guys and come back thinking I'm invincible, wake up, off of a few hours of sleep, and then go and practice, and then those little injuries kind of caught up with me over time. But when her and I got married, it turned into, no, you're not going to be Mr. Party Man. You're going to kind of get your rest and relax, and my career elevated. But she is the heartbeat of the household. She keeps everybody in order. She's the disciplinarian. I'm kind of like the softie. Yeah. Honestly, yeah. I put my feet down or my foot down more when she presses me.
Yeah.
But I am more of a teacher through let's have a conversation. Right. Let's talk about it. Eye to eye, person to person. Let's try to talk through it. You share with me your perspective. Let me share with you what I think, and let's see if we can meet in the middle to make this work versus yelling and, attacking and all that stuff. That's not my approach. So I think we've done a solid job. Still got a lot of work to do. Pray to be here another 50 years. I'll be 50 next January.
Yep.
So I'm going to do whatever I can to be here for them as long as I can be.
Behind every great man is an even stronger woman.
Indeed.
And I look at it that way all the time. With my wife, I met her in an 8th grade birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to different schools. And it's like, oh, there's attractiveness, right?
Right.
Your eyes can see.
Yes.
So I looked at it that way. And then I was trying to date her when I was 14, 15 years of age. And she was having nothing to do with me.
Wow.
Then the roles reversed. At 16, I heard, oh, she likes me a little bit. We actually were dared. We lost a pool game. So if we lost the pool game, we had to kiss each other. I kind of purposely lost that pool game, as you could imagine, right? But with that being said, she was chasing after me. I was playing hard to get. Then going into our senior year of high school, I asked her to date me. We were in the middle of a river, waterfall going, and it was just at a buddy's house, way in his backyard somewhere. And she looks at me and she goes, I don't know. I was like, will you go out with me? She's like, I don't. I was like, I thought I had it all.
Right.
But she ended up saying yes later that day, and we've been together ever since.
Wow.
But I know, and it's that cliche, like high school sweethearts, everything else. We went to college together, everything else, have 2 kids. But I look at my life and where I've gotten to, and I wouldn't be where I am at today without her. 100%.
Right.
And you should share the same sentiment about your wife.
Right. And you have to be, man enough and vulnerable enough and being open and willing to be able to share that and put that pride aside. Ego is a destroyer of just good health more than anything itself. And people don't understand that sometimes. It's very cliche and simple, but you have to be able to remove yourself in order to see sometime, to see the path, right? And that's what I was able to do with my wife. I could have easily sat back and said, no, it's my career. This is how I'm going to do it. These are the steps I'm going to take. And I wouldn't have been as successful as I had been because I wouldn't have played as long. I probably would have continued to have those multiple injuries in my career and not be able to look back on my legacy and say, all right, you did well. And whenever they decide to call me to Canton, I don't know when, but we
thought it was going to happen this year.
Yes, we did. But God is amazing, and all things best happen on His timing. But I have always been optimistic, and I'll continue to be that way. And I'm just ready to give her flowers because she deserves them, because I wouldn't be there without her.
Man, I can't wait to hear that speech when that day happens. I mean, you got to look at some of your statistics over the years. There's not too many people in a 10,000 rush club, right? 10,000 yards. I mean, that's huge inside of itself. The average NFL running back does a little over 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
You did 13. You shared a little bit about, hey, those first few years, some injuries, those kind of things, having a good time. Wife came into play. What do you think got you to where you are in that NFL career? What got you to go in 13 years? What consistency was put in there? What principles did you have to establish within your career to make sure you were there on the field?
You have to be able to identify routine. If we're talking finance, a routine is a budget, right? And there are going to be moments where you want to go outside of that budget, but what has to reinforce the routine is the same thing that has to reinforce, your budget. If you don't want to be living on the street, I didn't want to be on the street. I didn't want to get cut. So commitment. So the commitment reinforces the routine, because routines can kind of come across and get a little boring. If you're budgeting in life, I'm tired of eating the same thing, if that's in the budget. I'm tired of driving the same thing. You can kind of get sidetracked and lose focus, but you need that commitment to reinforce those habits. And for me, I created a routine, but I also understood that I needed to be committed to it in order to get to where I wanted to be. I wanted to prove to everyone that, I'm not injury prone, just had some misfortune. And I was able to do that.
And there's a nickname surrounding you too.
Correct, which is Fragile Fred, and that's just part of it. But when you look at the totality of NFL players' careers, and you mentioned the average lifespan of a playing career, it was just hovering at 3 to 3.5
running
foot.
backs, 2.5,
All players,
yeah.
correct. So I think I did well. I played about
so.
5 times the average, just about. And but again, I had to identify what routine was and stick to it. And there were moments when that routine just became redundant, and I'm like, it's boring, it's slow, it's tedious. But the commitment to the big picture, the goal where I wanted to be, once I identified those goals, allowed me to reinforce the routine. So I was able to churn out 13 years, could have played another 2. But sometimes you fight within. When you become such an elite athlete, you have struggles within when you sit back and you don't see yourself the same. You don't visualize yourself the same. And I had moments where I would be at practice and it would be just a little harder to do. I could still do it. It would just be a little harder. And football is a young man's sport. It's just a revolving door of so many great athletes, so much talent, and the margins are so close. And I never minded competing. I was going to show up and compete more than anything. I found joy in it. But I just didn't have fun not being here. Here was okay because it gave me a chance, but I just got tired of being here, working so hard just to be here when I enjoyed really being up here. And that's when I called it a career. At lucky number 13, that was always something that I cherish. I would always think about Jesus and the 12 disciples.
Wow. 13's
good number.
Divine, right?
That's a good number.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was blessed, back to that grandfather. My parents didn't have a lot growing up, but my grandfather did. And he would help me out. He made sure I went to a Catholic grade school and a Catholic high school. And I remember I had a religion teacher teaching me. He goes, Bryan, open up the Bible. I open up the Bible. First chapter of Jeremiah, I just hit it, right? He goes, and the first words that say, you were born a leader of nations. And he goes, rip that out. He said, rip that page out of that Bible and put it in your pocket and never forget about it. And I look at it today as like, and it gives me chills just speaking it to you, because I don't tell many people this. It's like, man, there's such divine intervention at that time. I have that piece of paper still in a frame in my home, and I look back at it. And it was like, God puts these talents inside of you and gives you the ability to do things you don't even know you're going to do in life. And
right.
I look at J.L. Smith Group and the company and where we're at right now, and we got 35, 40 employees, and I go, all these people rely on me, right? And I'm starting to lead that nation.
Right.
So it's just so profound of, how these things, lucky number 13, what sticks out to you, the 12 disciples and Jesus. And then for me, ripping that, I didn't know the conversation would go here, but I'm really grateful that it has went there. And I heard you speak before, and I want to share a little bit about my story. I grew up in Ohio and obviously a Browns fan.
Okay.
And my father gave me 2 hats one day. And it was a Carolina Panthers hat and a Jacksonville Jaguars hat. You both expansion teams at the same time, right? At the exact same time. For whatever reason, I wore that Jacksonville Jaguars hat. So it's awesome to be here with you and talk this through, because Brown's hometown team, as always, right? But Jacksonville's the 2 teams I've always rooted for. My wife and I were at a Browns game one time, and we were coming home, and we got in a car accident. There was a truck that hit us, that lost control in the main lane, sideswiped us, and we did a 540 spin, and then we're facing traffic head on. And that car, I couldn't get out my door. It hit me on my side. So I was screaming at my wife. I was like, you got to get out of the car. You got to get out of the car, so on and so forth. She gets out of the car. I have to crawl over to get out. But I called a bunch of people that evening to make it a short story. I had a concussion. I had no idea. The next morning, I called the same family members and said, hey, I just want to let you know I was in the hospital last night, so on and so forth. And they're like, Bryan, you called me last night, right?
Yeah.
So I heard you speak about a situation in Mile High Stadium where you got clipped right on the chin, right? but you didn't remember what happened. You were there in the game, right? And that was the mentality. You keep playing no matter what. And I know things have changed. And Bernie Kosar, a Cleveland native, I had another podcast with him, spoke with him also, and he said the similar things. Share with me a little bit about that Mile High story and how has it affected your life now, health, mental health, well-being?
Right.
How's that turned out?
Well, I want to ask you first, how did you deal with, as a Browns fan and grabbing the Jaguars hat just before the team started here? The old AFC Central, we would play the Browns twice a year.
Yeah.
Like, how you would cheer for the Browns or the Jaguars? You can be honest.
Neither. I would cheer for. So I'm a competitor, and I say you put the best team on the field, and whoever wins is going to win.
Right.
I'm a football fan at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what? If Kansas City wins 3 Super Bowls in a row, which they almost did, but 2, they put the best team on the field.
Correct.
And that's how I look at it at the end of the day. As the audience, I want to just see the best entertainment that I can see.
Right.
Put the best people on the field, the people that come most prepared, put in the most time. It's like me at work. I got to put in work behind the scenes before I get on the stage, talk to the clients, everything else. So whoever puts the best on the field. So I would go, whoever wins, and I'm at peace with it. I was never like, hey, this team over this team or anything else like that.
Yeah, so no, fortunately, the story that I can share is when we did play the Browns back in the day, we have a rule in the NFL now. They have plastic beer bottles, right? When we played the Browns, it was a bad call later in the game, and we were in Cleveland, and the dog pound was going crazy, and we would normally win that matchup most times. And that particular day was a bad call. It was a really bad call. I can see it was a bad call.
Yeah.
And the Brown fans didn't like it. They started throwing beer bottles onto the field.
Sounds like Cleveland.
The upper deck. And after that, the NFL banned glass bottles, and they eventually went over to plastic beer bottles. And that was versus the Browns. And luckily, I didn't get hit with a bottle. Otherwise, we'd be having another concussion story. But Mile High, Denver, the altitude, you're so high, and the air is so thin. And for me, I sort of struggled with getting enough oxygen. But in that particular play, in that moment, in that day, I just got hit under the chin. I had 2 known concussions in my career, and both came because I got hit under the chin because of blitz pickup. It wasn't I was running the ball and got hit, and
they're just coming under you.
Yeah, it was like bull rush by a linebacker, and they just got their helmet in a good spot, and I got up from the play, and this is myself knowing this because of the film review the next day. In that moment, things just happen, as you said. You don't know how you got up or this or that. For me, looking at the film, I was able to get up from the pile, so it was a mild concussion. Went in and didn't realize I was still out there playing. I remember going in the locker room. They did an evaluation. I went back in, and I kind of sat on the sideline waiting to play and go back in, which I eventually went back in because it was a close game. They don't do that now,
right.
But I went back in the ball game. But an entire quarter and a half, I did not recall because of the concussion. And the concussions that I've had both were in Denver because of the high altitude, which is the weirdest thing. We went on a ski trip some years ago, maybe 4 years ago, my wife and I was in Breckenridge. And the very first time, and I've gone on several ski trips with my wife, and I'm a horrible skier. I'm a better snowboarder, but I retired that officially because I don't like to not get compensated for falling. I spent 13 years getting paid to fall. So I don't like falling and not getting paid to do so. Right. So I think I'm retired. Plus it hurts a bit more now that I'm getting older, and I don't want to fracture nothing. But I had experienced altitude sickness, and that's the worst thing you ever want to experience. Really? It is so bad, but what I was able to find from that experience is that sleeping with the oxygen machine and the humidifier, especially when I'm out west, is I sleep like a baby. Mm-hmm. It is the best thing going. But my health is, I believe I'm fine. I only know what I know. People ask me how my body feels. I'm 49 years old. I don't know how a normal 49-year-old feel. Like
You know
I don't,
your aches and
you know,
pains, yeah.
someone who didn't play sports, like how does their body feel? What is my, what's my basis? Now, what do I compare it to? I only know what I know. I'm a football player. I've been one my entire life. I only know how I feel based on how I get up and how I feel. I feel pretty good. I have moments where I ache. You know, I don't have a ton of those moments, thank God. But I do have moments where this past year my back just started to feel a lot worse, and things are catching up with me. I have herniated disc. I have bulging disc, I should say, in different parts of my spine, lumbar, this, that, L5, 3. It's in there somewhere, like 3 of them are kind of slipping. I have some back pain here, but I try to do some stretching, some yoga. I got a hanging machine where I try to hang pretty often. In terms of my head, I fought, still fighting anxiety. You know, I have anxiety and some depression, and I try not to over-medicate and try to use more holistic approaches to taking care of myself and treating my anxiety. And some days it's just too strong, and I have to deal with it. But again, I know that the different medicine stuff can lead to other things. That's why I'm kind of cautious with it. But I just continue to fight. I continue to fight. And again, I don't know if it stems from playing sports or being hit in the head or whatever. All I know is in this life that I live right now, I have these experiences. But I know prayer is good. I know staying grounded, and then just continue to practice good habits. I think I'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can relate. I've had some health things along the way. It was kind of this time of year, 2013, I was having a problem getting out of bed. And like when I got out of bed, my hands were feeling so cramped and my feet feeling like they were cinder blocks. I'm walking on cinder blocks.
Wow.
It took me to the afternoon to get to a place where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm flexible, I'm movable, I'm malleable, I can move around. And I ended up getting diagnosed that summer, June of 2013, with psoriatic arthritis. So if I took this jacket on, I still have psoriasis patches. But they gave me a medicine called methotrexate, right? My rheumatologist. And that's what they had treated. My mother had it. My grandfather had rheumatoid. So they're just thinking it's going down the lane. But this medicine affects your liver and kidneys. So the doctor every quarter takes my blood, tests the blood and says, hey, here's what's going on. Everything's in normal levels. Well, a few quarters in a row, my liver enzymes and my kidney enzymes were a little bit high. Okay. So I kind of went off the grid. Like you educate yourself with that financial stuff along the way. I had to educate myself with medicine along the way. So I kind of looked at the food supplies, what's in the food supply. I stopped eating meat. It's just about 8 years ago. Oh. And like pork, chicken, all that kind of stuff. And after 90 days, 180 days, all of my mobility and flexibility came back, and it was just, everybody's different. Like, we don't know that baseline. I don't know, and I'll be 39 this year. I don't know how any other 39-year-old feels. This is only my body, right? I just know I got to take care of this body because I only got one.
Indeed.
Yeah, I had a lot of, over the past few years, a lot of anxiety also, right? And it's a hard thing to talk about because men aren't supposed to have these problems, right? But that's not the reality of the world, right? And I grew up where men don't cry, right? And I thought that was the way, but I've learned it's not. And I'll round it together here. But one thing I realized is I went on a retreat for 4 days. They take away your cell phone. They take away everything else. They bring you through nature. So best experience I've ever done in my life. Because I realized this. I realized if I continue to live in the past, I'm going to be depressed.
Yes.
And if I try to live in the future and I try to guess what God has for me next or what's next, the client I'm meeting with, what they're thinking in their head,
anxious.
I'm going to be anxious, right? And we hear that. So I've learned to just live in the present here. And, sitting here talking to you, it's like, I feel like I'm having a great conversation. This is what's in front of us today.
Right.
Let's have fun. Let's enjoy the journey. I've had the ability to be a successful advisor in the top one for 7 years in a row across the country. And sometimes it's lonely at top. I've learned to embrace the journey.
Yep.
The journey is the best part.
That is absolutely the best part. I try to share with the kids and the younger players that I meet is that sometimes we underestimate the value in the moment, but we overestimate, how much time we have. And really those simple messages, just trying to get them to put that in perspective and keeping everything in the moment, being present in the moment, is more valuable than anything in life, But yeah, it's been a great ride for me. I plan on continuing to go, continuing to build, continuing to pivot. We say on our show, accept, adjust, move forward, and it's never too late to pivot, and just keeping that in perspective. When you look back on things, because sometimes things can come across as a failure, but perspective says, and we teach ourselves on our show, Channing, Ryan, and myself, is that you look back on the journey, and most times it's not failure, it's just a pivot. And when people can identify that, I think they can live a more fulfilled life. Yeah.
It's amazing when you think about that and just thinking about pivot. And life is going to have nothing but pivots in it.
And we all
right?
are.
And we just got to adapt and overcome those pivots.
Yep, we all are.
Sometimes we might not like the pivot, but it's there for a reason, and we need to adjust. Fred, if there's anything you can think of here, that one message you would want to give to the world, anything that comes to mind in this moment, what would that one message you would want to give the world?
Oh, man. You kind of catch you off guard because it's so much.
There's so much you want to give.
Because even in some of the moments as we sat here, I spoke through myself, hoping that people can take away some of those nuggets. But I guess the one message is, well, you can always replay the entire episode again. That helps.
Yep.
And double down on that. But just always remember to be kind. Remember, we're all here for a short period of time and trying to make most of this moment and this opportunity. And, just always lead with kindness. You never know how far that'll go and carry someone else. You can always make an impression on someone just by being kind and respectful and trying to get them to, smile and enjoy their day, because you never know what people are going through. But if you lead with kindness, you get most people through most days. Yeah.
I like that a lot, and I always say, we talked about egos today, we talked about a few different things, but remember what it's like to sweep the floors.
Yes.
Because if your ego gets so big, God's going to take you right back down to sweeping the floors.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? The people that sweep the floors, people that take out the trash for us, they're great people too. And you got to appreciate them for that.
Correct.
There's no doubt about it. So I appreciate your time there, Fred. It's been amazing. Thank you.
It's been good. It's been really good. And one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Hit us. I'm
because
all for it.
It just hit me.
Yeah.
Because you said God will remind you. We interviewed Jack Beck, is a receiver that was at LSU, eventually transferred over to TCU. His brother was killed in the New Orleans street attack. One of the guys that got run over there. And Jack shared with us that knowing that God is the rock, he'll always bring you back to him because he's at rock bottom. When you hit rock bottom, you go back to the rock. But he'll eventually let you fly again, but he's gonna always bring you back down when you get too big-headed and kind of, above yourself. But I don't know where that fits, but it just kind of hit me as you were closing. But I do appreciate you all having me, and I appreciate looking forward to the employee appreciation and client appreciation moment.
It's going to be exciting. Thanks for coming on, Fred.
Thank you for listening to the Holistic Wealth and Health Podcast. We hope we inspired you to make changes so you can live your best life. If you want to find out more about what we do, or if you want to have a holistic wealth and health financial plan, please call 456-833-7000. Please subscribe to the podcast and share it widely with your friends and family.